Now, Red Bull's season opener has been a roaring success, with back-to-back 1-2 finishes in Bahrain and Jeddah, leaving their rivals in the dust. Even more impressive was Max's epic climb from 15th to 2nd in the last race, overcoming a pesky driveshaft issue to show his mettle. But hold on to your hats, folks, because it looks like there may be some trouble brewing within the team. Gossip has been swirling that drama is afoot and tensions may be on the rise. It was a real nail-biter at the race between Verstappen and Perez, with both Red Bull drivers vying for the top spot. With Perez holding a solid lead of 5 seconds over Verstappen, it seemed like he had the race in the bag. But Verstappen wasn't about to let that happen without a fight. Just when it seemed like Verstappen was gaining on Perez, disaster struck in the form of a driveshaft problem on lap 37. Despite the setback, the race engineers of both drivers instructed them to keep Alonso at bay by driving 133 and not a second faster. While Perez seemed to get the memo loud and clear, Verstappen remained tight-lipped, leaving his intentions unclear. As the laps ticked by, the engineers repeated their instructions to both drivers, but Verstappen remained silent. Then, out of nowhere, Perez noticed that Verstappen was driving at a blistering 132.6, faster than what was agreed upon. Confused and frustrated, Perez demanded an explanation. "Why are you telling me to drive 33 then?" Tensions were running high between the Red Bull drivers as the team made a sudden change in target time, with 132.6 becoming the new goal. This left Perez feeling beyond frustrated, and he couldn't hold back his displeasure any longer. "We're now pushing for no reason, guys. This is not smart," he exclaimed, clearly exasperated by the situation. It was a nail-biting moment as the two drivers seemed to be at odds with each other and the team, creating a sense of chaos and unpredictability in the air. As the laps ticked by, Perez reiterated his frustration, urging the team to reconsider their strategy. But finally, on lap 43, Perez received the green light to push, and he wasted no time widening the gap to his Dutch teammate. Verstappen, seemingly resigned to the fact that he was no longer in contention for the overall win, had his sights set on the fastest lap. On lap 45, he asked GP what the fastest lap was, and despite Red Bull's initial indifference, Verstappen persisted, determined to claim the title for himself. Finally, GP relented and passed on the information, 32.1, the same time as Perez's fastest lap. But as the race drew to a close, Verstappen was not content to let things lie. Disregarding instructions to stick to the 133 target time, he pushed himself to the limit, ultimately claiming the fastest lap of the day with a blistering 131.9. It was a move that was sure to ruffle Perez's feathers, but the Mexican driver had been given the freedom to push himself early in the race and had failed to seize the opportunity. Verstappen's drive for victory has always been palpable, and after finishing second to Perez in Jeddah, he was not shy about expressing his discontent. He claimed that he was not here to be second. Winning is the ultimate goal in F1, but teamwork and sportsmanship are also critical components. However, Verstappen, a prodigious talent at just 25 years old, has demonstrated time and time again that these values are not high on his priority list. But it's not just Max who appears to have a poor attitude towards his competitors. His father, Jos, was caught on camera with a less than enthusiastic response to Perez's first win of the season. While the rest of the Red Bull team and fans were cheering and congratulating the Mexican driver, Jos remained unimpressed, failing to crack a smile or show any indication of support for his son's teammate. Many fans were shocked and disappointed by Jos's behaviour, with some even calling it despicable. Others were not surprised, stating that, like father, like son. It's worth noting that Perez's father, Antonio, has been seen celebrating Verstappen's successes in the past, but the same did not seem to be reciprocated in Jeddah. While some claim that Jos eventually shook Perez's hand in congratulations, the cameras failed to capture the moment. Regardless, his initial reaction to Perez's victory spoke volumes about his sportsmanship, or lack thereof. Even Max's impressive comeback from the back of the grid didn't seem to be enough to warrant any celebration from his father. Verstappen's unwillingness to cooperate with his fellow drivers is once again under scrutiny, as his comments following the latest race highlight his preference for individual success. Despite being criticised for his actions at last year's Sao Paulo Grand Prix, where he refused to let Perez pass despite already securing his second consecutive title, Verstappen's recent remarks suggest that his priorities remain unchanged. In a post-race interview, the reigning champion emphasized the importance of reliability and the need to ensure that his car is free of issues. He expressed dissatisfaction with his performance, citing issues in qualifying and a balance shift from testing to the race weekend. Although his team is content with the outcome, Verstappen's desire to be number one is clearly evident. Verstappen's single-minded approach to the sport has drawn criticism in the past, with many questioning his lack of team spirit. However, it appears that the Dutchman is not about to change his ways anytime soon, despite the occasional backlash. Marco, the Red Bull advisor, has finally given his thoughts on Verstappen's last lap attempt to snatch the fastest lap away from Perez. And guess what? He couldn't stop the Dutchman from being his usual competitive self. Marco revealed that Verstappen was completely focused on leading the championship ahead of the Australian Grand Prix in just 2 weeks' time, so there was no stopping him from trying to grab that fastest lap. Typical Max on the last lap with the fastest race lap, Marco exclaimed to Austrian broadcaster ORF. That was uncontrollable, that's just Max. He then revealed that both Verstappen and Perez were constantly asking about who had the fastest lap, and Verstappen waited until the last lap to set his blistering time, so Perez couldn't counter. It seems Verstappen's focus on winning the championship is paying off, as he now holds the lead. It means the lead in the World Championship for him. We're very satisfied with the race, Marco said. But for his reactions, many people had something to say. Nico Rosberg, the 2016 world champion, had some harsh words for Verstappen's post-race comment. He wasn't pleased with the Dutchman's attitude and criticised it on Sky Sports. "It's not good to see," Rosberg analysed. "We were told he skipped the team meeting on Saturday apparently. I don't think it's a good approach or mentality so early in the season when the team has done such a brilliant job and worked so hard. I think he could be more gracious." Red Bull team principal Christian Horner also had something to say and acknowledged Perez's concerns about the plus 0.4 target, stating that it's natural for the lead driver to want to ensure the tail car hits the target first. However, once the team saw no issues in the data, they allowed both drivers to continue racing and manage the pace on their own. In fact, Horner stated that the team was happy to let Verstappen push for the fastest lap at the end of the race, even though they had previously asked both drivers to slow down. Horner explained that the team's ultimate goal was to maximise points, but they also understood the drivers' desire to race and compete for the fastest lap. So, when Verstappen expressed his interest in getting the fastest lap, the team had no reason to deny him or Perez the opportunity to go for it. Ultimately, Verstappen ended up with the fastest lap of the race, but both Red Bull drivers were given the chance to compete for it. It's interesting to note that even though Red Bull came out on top with the best possible result that they could have hoped for, both Verstappen and Perez seemed to be dissatisfied with something in this race. But hey, having these kind of problems is usually a sign that your rivals are lagging behind and you're a winning team, right? As of now, Verstappen is sitting pretty in first place, with just 1 point separating him from Perez, thanks to the fastest lap point he snagged right at the end. Fingers crossed that any lingering issues within the Red Bull team will be sorted out behind closed doors, so they can continue dominating the competition as they should. So what are your thoughts on this race? Who was more in the right? Was it Perez or was it Verstappen? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're at it, hit that like and subscribe button.